Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout as we prepare for the 2025-26 FPL season. My name is Joe and today I'll be looking at some cheap midfield and forward options to consider. Before we do that, just a reminder, do press that like button, really helps us out. And do leave us a review if you're listening to the podcast version. Do remember to subscribe, keep up to date with all our latest videos and podcasts. And also do check out Fantasy Football Scout for latest membership offers to get access to all the tools and gadgets to help you climb up your mini league. All being revamped this season. Lots and lots of exciting new tools there to have a look at. Just before I put some of the names I'm going to consider up, I just wanted to sort of a message really about strategy with these very cheap midfielders and forwards. You've got to have low expectation. So if you're going into this thinking, oh, I remember when Raheem Sterling played for Liverpool and was 4.5, or Jamie Vardy was a really cheap forward and kept scoring goals, it's going to be very unlikely you're going to get lucky that way. So basically what you're going to do is they're going to struggle to get minutes. When they do, they're going to be trying to score or trying to assist. They might fail. And also maybe they could be amongst those who are getting defensive returns. They might get some defensive returns, but they're not going to get a huge amount of points for your team. So these are basically enablers. So these are ones that you can rely on your bench to come on, even if it's only for a few minutes. Good first sub, or you might have to play them some weeks, in which case you want to try and get the best ones you can. But FPL this season has priced these players accordingly. So there's very few sort of hidden gems, but they will emerge. So we've got to go with what we can with pre-season. I've tried to do a mix of what you would call cheap. So some are 5.5, some are 5, one is 4.5. But these aren't necessarily the ones I would go for. But I've started to see some of them in drafts, so it's good to see if any of those are worth considering. And some of them I definitely will be in my team because there's so many good, expensive players this season. You've got to get some cheap assets in there. Okay, let's have a look at I'm going to go for midfielders first, then we'll move on to forwards. I've got three names to sort of discuss, really. So here's the first one. From my team, Brighton, Carlos Baleba, absolutely nailed on in midfield, defensive midfielder. He's already in 4.6% of teams. He comes in and out of my team. If I go for a 5.5 midfielder, I obviously will go for a 5.5 midfielder. But if I need to save that 0.5, which I very well may do, Carlos Baleba is my top choice really for the 5 million midfielders. So yeah, he's in 4.6% of teams. So 31 games, so he's pretty much started virtually all the games. He scored 3 goals. He's got a good shot on him occasionally. He did assist as well. Nothing in pre-season so far, but he's not an attacking player. So you've got to temper your interest. This guy is not going to score every week. He will score 3 or 4 times a year. So you've got to have him for the long term for that kind of thing. What's the important thing with the defensive contributions, he does very well. So he only got 87 points last season, which is called a standard for a sort of cheap midfielder. But he would have got 118 under the new rules. So that's well over 30 points more than he would have got last time out. So that shows he's quite good. The fixtures are pretty good as well. You could play him at home to Fulham. You could play him away to Everton. To be honest, you could play him at home to Manchester City. It's going to be some defensive returns there. He'll be needed. And you can play him away to Bournemouth as well. So you might actually need him. I think he's a pretty good first sub, though. And I think I'll probably end up with him in my team because I'm going to need that 0.5. So I think the 5.5 midfielder dreams are gone. I do like him a lot. Speaking of defensive midfielders who would get more points this season, the next one, which is Elliot Anderson for Nottingham Forest. He is now he's the poster boy for he would have got more under the new rules. So under the defensive contribution rules, which is the usual stuff they do, but in particular for midfielders, recoveries and tackles as well, this guy is good for them. So he's good for clearances, blocks, interceptions, all of those defensive returns. So he got 107 points last season, but FPL Towers are eagle-eyed, and they would have noted that under the new rules, he would have got 143 points, which is a great return for a midfielder, especially a very cheap one. So he's got a little bit of a bump, 5.5 million. So he's going to cost you. The reason, and he's already been spotted in 3.5% of teams. Starts 33, so pretty much starts most games. Goal. Now, this is important. So not only is he getting those defensive returns, but a bit like Baleba, he has got a couple of shots on him. He got scored 2 goals, but it's assists as well. He's on some set pieces. So he's got 8 attacking returns on top of the fact that he gets more defensive contributions. He is the top choice for me if I can afford it, but will I? And will I want to spend 5.5 million for a player that I essentially going to have as my first sub, but I might need them. So yeah, between him and Baleba, they're definitely my choices there. I had a look for some 4.5s. I can't see anyone that is in any way going to get significant minutes or is even worth considering. I think if you're going to go for a 4.5, there may be, and we'll talk about this in a second, there may be a forward you can go for there, or you can save a bit of money in defence, because there's regular starters amongst the 4.0s in defence. That's going to be the subject of another video. And in 4.5, we might have a starting 4.5 striker. But in terms of 4.5 midfielders, FPL know what they're doing with the pricing. Pretty much none of them are worthwhile. Perhaps next season we're going to have some kind of carrot to get a 4.5 midfielder in, but at the moment it's very, very difficult. If you know of any, if you're particularly if you're a fan of one of the promoted sides, if you think any of those 4.5 midfielders will actually get at least a couple of points, do let us know in the comments below, or leave a comment on the podcast. Okay, so yeah, I like him a lot. Okay, the next name is someone I'm not considering, but I've done quite a few of these team reveals, including my own, but with various other people as well, notable content creators, and I'm starting to see this guy creep in. So I'm wondering what's all the fuss about. And I actually don't think. So this is going to be. So I think for 5 million. So it's Enzo Lefebvre at Sunderland. He's 5 million midfielder. He's in 1.3% of teams. I've probably interviewed all of that 1.3% so far. I think this is what this is about, is whether you favour a sort of a Baleba type player. You could also put Christie at Bournemouth in that. I think he might have an injury or coming back from an injury, but it would be another player that would do well under the defensive contribution. So he's got sort of steady Eddie, boring player. He's going to get you maybe 4 points, 3, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 points even most weeks. Whereas Lefebvre will either get you a couple of points or he'll score or assist. And that's the aim, really. So he joined from Roma to Sunderland in the Championship last season, joined in January. He's now signed on a 4-year deal, so they were impressed with him there. He will likely play. He'll play probably most matches. He started 15, so that indicates how much they like him and the fact they bought him now. So he started 15 from coming in from January, pretty good. He just scored the 1 goal. He's got an assist as well. But he is doing okay in pre-season with a couple of returns there. So we're starting to think could be option there. So it just depends. If you're like a steady Eddie boring manager like me, Baleba's your man. But if you've got a bit of flair, Enzo Lefebvre is the one to go for there. So yeah, that's probably going to be the choice for a lot of these sort of defensive assets. Okay, so there's 3 midfielders to think about. Let's have a look at some forwards. Okay, so Mark, can I ever pronounce him? Guiu. Let's call him Guiu. Mark Guiu. He's the Chelsea striker. So we've got him in a Sunderland shirt here. So he hasn't quite joined Sunderland yet. The consensus I'm reading in the transfer, sort of the back pages of newspapers, is that he is all but about to sign on loan for Sunderland. This would make sense for Chelsea. He's not going to get much game time with them, if at all. He's not really going to... I didn't start. He came on as a sub, I believe, a couple of times, but didn't start. No goals, assists. Hasn't really featured in pre-season. To be honest, Chelsea haven't featured in pre-season yet, so that's been a problem. there. He's only 4.5. Now, this is why, of all of the players I mentioned so far, he's probably the worst. But he's the one that's in my team. Because I've gone for a sort of a 3-5-2, 4-4-2. And because I don't really like a lot of strikers. Well, I do, but it costs a lot to get them. And you've got to rely on them scoring most weeks. Whereas you can get sort of more value with some of these other players that I've been mentioning, the likes of Anderson and defenders as well. So he's there as a sort of a sub. Now, his move to Sunderland will mean he'll get some minutes. But for those Chelsea fans who go, oh, wow, look, Sunderland have got one of our strikers, he'll start every match. I don't think he will really. So what he's going to be, he'll be on the bench, I think, for most matches. He could start. But I think he'll be on the bench, and I think he'll come on. I think he'll get minutes. And we might, depending on how his form goes, he might get more and more minutes. But I think he's a good one to get. He's pretty much the only 4.5 striker at the moment, as it stands, who will get any form of minutes there. And obviously he's been at Chelsea, so he should be of a quality there. But the trouble is, with Sunderland, if you're looking for a genuine striker there who will get returns, is Maenda, but he's 5.5. So I didn't include him. I included Mark Guiu because he's 4.5. And that's if he goes to that Sunderland. So let's hope he does. But that's if he stays at Chelsea, forget everything I just said. But Maenda is the one. He is actually really good. Like, he looks really good. And I know you shouldn't look at some clips, but I went down a Maenda rabbit hole, and there was a search for this on YouTube or wherever that says stunning solo goal against Bristol City, Maenda. But have a look at it; it is quite something. It's like Maradona against England. He just goes the whole length, darts in and out, step overs, just plows through Bristol City and scores. It's a really good goal. And obviously got goal of the month in the Championship. But yeah, so I'm sort of put you off, Mark Guiu. But what he is he's 4.5. He enables other things. So I found with him, I don't have to mess around with like a Beto or something like that. He's 6 million striker who might score occasionally. I can just get this guy in and just put that money elsewhere into midfield and defence, players that will actually start and actually perform. He could get me a return or so. So yeah, I like him so far. Some other strikers. Now, these aren't good. So the strikers, I mean, basically you've got to spend a lot. You've got to get your Watkins, Isak, whenever he chooses a team to go to, Gyökeres. You've got to go for these. You just call them big names, I think. Chris Wood. João Pedro even at Chelsea. You've got to spend, I think. There are a few sort of 6.5s. Welbeck at Brighton might start. But once again, they cost a lot more. So these are the guys you've got to get in. So these are some to consider. Now, I actually don't think this guy is good to get, but he's in my team, Brighton, so I'm a bit biased. But so he's 5 million. It's Kostoulas. We just got him from, I can't remember where from. But yeah, highly rated young striker. I think Danny Welbeck will start. This guy will be on the bench. But we've also signed a couple of strikers. Simas as well. He's 5.5, a bit older. So I think for Kostoulas and Simas, they're minutes risks here. Big minutes risks. And for minutes risks, I think I prefer like a Mark Guiu 4.5 than a 5 million Kostoulas. But the fixtures are okay. He's a home to Fulham, away to Everton, home to Man City's tricky, away to Bournemouth. So there's definitely options there that you can go for with him if you think he's going to get any minutes. But for 5 million, anyways, in 0.7% of the team, so real differential. Last season, obviously, he started in 20 matches, got 7 goals and a couple of assists, so 9 attacking returns. So he's pretty good. He knows where the goal is. Has not featured in pre-season yet, which is a slight worry. But we've still got 1 or 2 other matches to go for Brighton. But definitely one to consider there, especially if he's because I suspect he'll go down in price because that 0.7% ownership. We're going to think this guy's not starting, but then he might start starting. So that could be one to go for. And the final one I wanted to look at is the one that I've got my mind on, if I go for a 3 up front, because I want what Ollie Watkins, I want Jared Bowen or Chris Wood or something, but I can't afford all 3 of them. But I could afford 2 of those players in my draft. So I'm going to need a cheap striker. So if I had 3 up front, I want to go for one who's nailed on to start and is going to get really good returns. And, the potential to be, like Timu Pukki, whatever, like just one of those, cheap strikers of old for a promoted side that just gets loads and loads of returns. And this guy's one. So it's Joel Perreault at Leeds. So they may sign another striker, but I think this guy is going to be their main man for a while. We've got Bamford there, but he is being pretty much frozen now. I think he's been told to look for a new club as well. And so this guy, just to underline what he was. So his starts last year, 46. Obviously, they play loads of matches in the Championship. Goals, 19. Wowzers. Assists, 7. So, and he's already got 4 returns in pre-season. Fixtures are okay, I think, as well. He's in 3.4% of teams because they've noted the pre-season returns, the fact that he starts, and lots of Leeds fans around. At home to Everton is the start. I think that's pretty good. Away to Arsenal, tricky. Home to Newcastle, it's at home, so it's a home game. Could get a goal, and then away to Fulham, never know. I think we also need to temper. So we need to recalibrate how we feel about promoted sides. We used to, the last couple of seasons, promoted sides come up. There's a clear gulf in class. They go back down again. This season, a little bit different. Sunderland are really splashing out. They could be pretty good. Leeds were pretty good last season already, and I think they're getting even better. I think they should be focusing on defence as well, so they're not going to not to be totally gung-ho. So which could temper the amount of goals they get, which could, a notch against Perreault there, but nevertheless, it could mean that they're in winning positions to win matches, and these goals will be needed. It's only really Burnley, I think, could come unstuck because defensively they overperformed. They had Trafford in goal. They're not going to this time. As I'm recording, there's rumours they could be in for Dubravka, so that's a subject for another video if you want a 4.0 starting goalkeeper with a history in the Premier League. But so I think we need to temper expectations. I think Perreault as the main striker in a good side, a good promoted side, could be one to get there. Before I go, I just wanted to sort of consider the fixtures a little bit, really, because that sort of looks at some of the teams we're considering there. So you can see why I've sort of picked up on Sunderland a bit. They are investing, and they're actually top of the fixture ticker for the first 4 game weeks. So they've got West Ham at home, great. Burnley away, brilliant. Brentford at home, so they've got 2 good home games and a promoted side. Crystal Palace away. That's when it gets a bit trickier. But I think you can go in a bit on Sunderland, especially if you're bench players. But you might, a Dingra as well at 5.5 is another cheap midfielder that I haven't mentioned here. Because I just wanted to mention some other names, ones I'm sort of definitely considering. Everton are next. They don't have, as many cheap assets that we're considering here, but it's really those promoted sides and those sort of teams like Baleba at Brighton. So he could have easily have ended up as a 5.5. He didn't get quite as good returns as Anderson there. So yeah, but Brighton's fixtures, while I'm considering Baleba, Fulham at home, great. Everton away, I think you could play him. Man City, he's going to be, as I said, he's going to be needed for defensive contributions. I'd be surprised if he didn't come away with a couple of defensive contribution points for that. And then Bournemouth away, I like a lot. Christie at Bournemouth, I mentioned there. Bad first fixture, Liverpool, but they've got Wolves at home, Tottenham away, Brighton at home. So I think he's another one to consider there. Nottingham Forest, I've got pretty okay fixtures really. Brentford at home, Crystal Palace away, West Ham at home, and then Arsenal away is a bit trickier. But defensive contributions there, so that's why Anderson is one to look at there. And just trying to find where Leeds are really. Yeah, Leeds a bit of a mixed bag. It's that Everton at home game I like. Away to Arsenal, you'd be looking at their defensive assets there. as I said, subject of another video. And then Lee, and then they've got Newcastle, okay, home game, and then Fulham away. So you can see you've got to pick and choose your fixtures there. Try and find some rotation, maybe. Get a cheap striker, cheap midfielder, and you can just rotate them. All you have to do is just play one in each one, so you can get a, and just have a look at that rotation there. This helps for the first 4 fixtures here. Anyway, I hope that has been of use. It certainly helped me as I was looking to sort of get my own team together. I'm definitely going to need a couple of cheap front 8 players. So a cheap midfielder, cheap forward. Just depends how cheap I want to go. But I think there's plenty of options this season. Annoyingly, as ever, FPL have done a good job on the pricing. I wish they were worse at it, but they've done a good job. So there we are. There. Good luck with Game Week 1. Good luck shopping for those cheap assets as well. Do remember to press that like button. It does help us out. Do remember to subscribe. And obviously check out the Fantasy Football Scout members area. Got a little plug on there saying new members area loading. It has been indeed. And lots of new gadgets there. Thanks a lot for your time. Take care. See you soon.